You've waited a lifetime to look better and feel better, and now here's your chance. Fitness Friday on WNDB. Call 239-0033 and have your questions answered on health, fitness, and a better life. Fitness Friday is brought to you by Bodez by Tasso & Company, 1140 West Granada Boulevard in Ormond Beach. And now, here's your host, Tasso Kyriakis.
Welcome to Fitness Friday. And Dave, one of our guests that we've had on Fitness Friday twice in the last 6 weeks is on the front page of the sports section. How about that? And you can tell that Brian...
Is it A-Rod?
No, Brian Lindard obviously didn't listen to the show to get any of his research for this. But I appreciate Brian doing such a beautiful article. I know Billy Gahagan had a lot to do with this getting put in the paper. But
who is this?
Well, our good friend Curtis Mitchell, who we've had on the show twice with us to talk to. We talked to him just before he left 2 weeks ago for France. There's a beautiful article about him earning a berth in the World Championships. Now, the only issue I have to take with the article is it goes and it demonstrates how we glamorize overtraining, okay? Really? Because in this article, it talks about that Curtis dedicated his life to doing all this stuff right to get back and run at the pace he needed to run to be one of the fastest people in the world.
He injured himself, right?
And he was trained, and part of this article talks about he trained twice a day with a personal trainer in Orlando. This is, in fact, why I believe Curtis was injured when I first met him and started rehab. From overtraining. Oh. If you look on the internet and you were to search Curtis Mitchell, one of the things that will come up is that he has the world's highest one-legged box jump, 52.5 inches on one leg. And so I believe that kind of training is one of the things that injured Curtis's hamstring and actually kept him out of the Olympics last year when he was one of the fastest people in the world. So this is a great story from the standpoint of local kid being successful, coming back. But the thing that's not in it that I would have loved to have seen is the local influence of people like Dr. Lorenzo Fahn, who is all on this show, one of our co-sponsors. Yeah. And Dr. Fahn was seeing Curtis 2 and 3 times a week to help this muscle begin to heal and get better. And you know, we had the opportunity to work with Curtis. We didn't get as much time in with him as Dr. Fahn did, because that was the plan that was made up with his running coach from Claremont, that we were going to back off on his training. And what we did was flexibility and strength training with him. We got about 2 times a weekend for a couple weeks, and then we began to ramp up his running again as he started to feel better. So it's a great article on the fronts of the sports section on Section C, and I appreciate Brian writing such a nice article about him. I did want to point out that we tend to overemphasize the aspect of overtraining. We think more is better. And the thing about it is this is what's given rise to, we talked several weeks ago, Mitch, about the book that they could pick up at the...
Yeah, hey, Tasso. Nice to join you this morning.
We talked a couple weeks ago about the book that 4-Hour Body, and it's a book that's written about being very efficient in what you do. And so what I did, I said, I'm going to take that theme, and we're going to have the 8-Hour Body promotion. And the 8-Hour Body is 8 hours of training or less over the next 8 weeks to begin to show you how to rip the fat off your body and to get in shape. So I'm joined today by Mitch Booth from Love Whole Foods, and Love and Bodies are together. We have the theme of love, laugh, and lift. And I want to talk about those components today because I want to talk about supportive eating. Well, actually, I should backtrack. There's 3 elements of being successful on changing your body and changing your health. There's supportive eating, which is good eating, better eating, which we'll talk a little bit about. And that supportive eating comes from...
we work on, which is optimal nutrition, eating right. To optimize nutritional intake.
Right. And then a concern for lean body mass, strength training, getting ourselves to where we maintain and build our lean body tissue. Whether you're 17 or 77, the goal of maintaining and adding lean body tissue is, number 1, possible, and number 2, very, very desirable, because it's what keeps people. Now, the nutrition has to support that. You can't You can't get it. And I see very intelligent people that think that the way to lose weight is to cut back their calories and exercise 5 days a week. Does not work. And when you tell them that, you should see the look on their face.
Right. It seems counterintuitive, and yet the as you know, the clinical evidence, especially in your arena, confirms what you're saying. I mean, the problem is, just like with the mass media, we get inculcated with concepts that aren't supported by the scientific data.
Right.
Take cholesterol, for example, which has been a subject many times. This hammering that cholesterol is bad. Well, if we didn't have any cholesterol in our bodies, we'd be dead. If you extrapolate it to the furthest. And the same idea, if you're exercising 3 times a week, well, if that's good, then doing it 6 days a week or 7 days a week. Some of my best clients are physical trainers, personal fitness trainers, and they get it that less is more. The bottom line, to hit it on the nail on the top of the head, is less is more.
Well, and so let's go back to the 3 elements of synergy: supportive eating, which you talked a little bit about, a concern for lean body mass, is strength training, and there's moderate aerobic exercise. And what we have begun to do more and more is this burst training. I find more and more reasons why people should not be training 40, 50, 60, 70 minutes a day doing their cardiovascular training. So when you start to do this, we really are able to change the body. And so, part of the process of why we're together with Love, Laugh, and Lift is because, number one, the love comes from, we love what we do. We want you to love your body. We want you to love being in good health. And so, the laugh is the social aspect of our life, that you've got to be able to enjoy life, not take things too seriously. And from my standpoint,
if you have a little bit of a setback, just laugh about it, or let's say you hurt yourself on the training floor, laugh it off.
Well, what Jim Rohn used to say. He says, "Be fascinated, not frustrated." If you're in traffic and you're frustrated with what's going on, he says, "Don't be frustrated. Don't get upset. Don't get angry." Because how many times have you seen athletes that compete? The one thing they want to do is, why does this whole thing of trash talking go on in sports, Mitch? It goes on so people can get people off their game, to psychologically get them upset or angry, to where they're not thinking about what they can do from a functional standpoint, but they get them just reacting. And sometimes there's some phases that's good, but most times it is not good for you.
Yeah, you and I have talked about it. One of our favorite films that we share is Chariots of Fire. It was an Academy Award-winning film. There's the difference between trash talk and making yourself spiritually in tune with what the universe wants for you. Major difference.
Right.
Trash talk is cheap hood stuff. It comes from a subculture. Chariots of Fire is that spiritual incentive that you and I both share as a foundation of how you reach optimal wellness and optimal enjoyment of life. It's the same.
Well, and being spiritually strong and spiritually focused, staying positive, and the third one for me is I stay focused on my work. And that's helped bring me over the last 3 years through some pretty tough personal times, as well as some very tough financial times from the standpoint of what we experience in the economy. Before we go too far, Mitch, let's do 2 things. Number one, the phone number at the radio show is 239-0033. You can call in with your questions for Mitch from Love Whole Foods or for myself on fitness. We'll be happy to sit and talk to you about it and answer your questions. We're going to continue along this theme of this synergy of the 3 things of supportive nutrition, a concern for lean body tissue, and some moderate aerobic exercise. But as we do that, I want to step back. And Mitch, you have 2 big events for educating the public coming in. So let's tell them what you're going to be doing at the Love Whole Foods. Who's coming in? Who those people are?
Well, I just want to say thanks to the community. The community has allowed my family to build the largest whole food local organic food resource in Volusia-Flagler County. In that 24 years, we have always had continuing education programs available to our customers. And we are continuing that tradition. I am proud to say that we are going to be co-sponsoring Dr. Michael Murray's presentation that he's going to make on October 3rd at the Calvary Church, right on Granada Boulevard and I-95. That's on October 3rd. That's going to be an incredible event. I'm expecting that there'll be probably 1,000 people from the community, all the natural food stores in the area and Natural Factors, who's their co-sponsor, are going to be promoting this heavily, and I think it'll be a great one-nighter. It's free, obviously, as all of our programs are free. The second one, you and
Before we leave that, let's talk about who Dr. Michael Murray is, because we throw those names out because we're familiar, because we supplement it. But let's give people a little background on Dr. Michael Murray.
Dr. Michael Murray has written over 17 books on health and wellness and optimal nutrition. He has been instrumental in the research done on theracumin, which we've talked about.
Right.
Turmeric as a miracle anti-inflammatory from God's Pharmacy, by the way. I like that. He's the author of How to Treat and Prevent Type 2 Diabetes, by the way, an epidemic in the boomer generation. And then, of course, he also wrote a companion book, How to Treat and Prevent Cancer, which is the only book endorsed by the American Cancer Treatment Centers of America. And for our listeners out there, why is that important? Well, the American Cancer Treatment Centers of America, the Cancer Treatment Centers of America is the most successful private institution in treating cancer successfully in an integrative approach. And I can only say, just for the listeners, come in and take a look at the book. It is my number one seller in dealing with this scourge, with this cancer scourge. The second guy that's coming to town is Terry Limrod. And Terry is the founder of enzymatic therapy. We had talked about it. But for you in the fitness world and the fitness training world, Terry Limrod introduced glucosamine sulfate into the United States in 1992. Before that, the bodybuilding community knew about chondroitin, and chondroitin sulfate had some effect on collagen regeneration with what you were dealing with this athlete Mitchell. But it wasn't until the glucosamine sulfate was introduced that, with the research done by Terry Limrod and Dr. Michael Murray, they were partners in 1992, it was a game changer. With the introduction of MSM, which was another breakthrough, the scourge of osteoarthritis was blunted. I mean, it's just simply amazing. So Terry's going to be in town Thursday, November 3rd, and that'll be at Love Whole Foods.
Now, there's people, Mitch, that they have tried glucosamine, they've tried the MSN, they've tried the chondroitin, but they don't get the results. And you and I were talking, and I heard a guy who is a really good functional nutritionist tell me one time. He says, if people, number one, he said, the first premise, if people are using a quality nutrition product, okay, and just so you know, quality nutrition products do not come off the shelf under the brand of Thermogram, One a Day, those kind of things. Yeah, you truly do poop most of those out, and you can probably find them in their whole form somewhere in your feces.
Right.
So
I'm not looking for that.
No, neither am I. Okay. But if you're looking,
remember, this is a family talk show here.
If you're buying supplements and they are quality supplements, he said the reason a lot of these things do not get the results is because you don't take them long enough and you don't take a substantial enough amount.
Right. If you're not doing 1,500 milligrams of glucosamine 3 times a day in split doses, and you can do it with food, it doesn't make any difference. But if you're not at that therapeutic level, you won't feel it. And then, of course, what I get is people will come in, and what I see in my store is they'll say, "Oh, that stuff doesn't work." And the first question I have is, "Where did you buy it?" "Oh, well, I bought it at that big box store that starts with an S or a W." And then you say, well, that wasn't glucosamine sulfate, FYI. It was glucosamine hydrochloride. Glucosamine hydrochloride does nothing. It probably has a negative impact, but it isn't going to be regenerating soft tissue. So you're right. The second one is I say, oh, well, I tried it, for 2 weeks. Well, I'm dealing with somebody who's like 70 years old, was caught up in that boomer generation of Jim Dine. Was that his name, the big runner? Was that his name?
Jim Rohn.
Rohn.
No, Jim Fix. Jim Rohn.
Jim Fix.
Jim Fix is the guy that died.
Right, so I got the 70-year-old that's been running on the beach for the last 30 years, right? And doesn't do any supplementation at all. That's like running your Lexus without any motor oil in it. And then he thinks in 2 weeks the glucosamine is going to make a difference. If you want something real fast, take a pharmaceutical drug. If you've got systemic pain, morphine will make that pain go away real fast. But if you want to get underneath where the pain in your knees and your lower back and your hips are coming from, then you got to rebuild. And as you said, that takes a balance of supportive eating, lean body mass, and doing just a moderate amount of exercise. Not this, I'm going to run down to New Smyrna Beach,
right?
And back and think that, oh boy, I'm going to be. I'm going to be like this Mitchell guy, Curtis Mitchell, and you will be like Curtis Mitchell. You'll be cripped up.
Well, we straightened up Curtis's nutrition. Number one, we got him on some supplements. Number two, and we dialed down his training. And another part to talk about, which doesn't come into this supportive eating unless you really get progressive in it, and that is, we had Dr. Daniel Pop on with us about a year ago, and Dr. Daniel talked about intermittent fasting, and since I'm fortunate that fasting has been a big thing that I've done in my whole life, just being obedient to what my mom told me to do for my religion, and now I begin to see all the benefits of what that fasting did. But recently I've gotten real strict with my eating in that, and been able to really down-regulate the inflammation in my joints. I got to tell you, from January when I did my first Daniel diet, where you eat, pulp, and you eat just all I would eat is seeds, nuts, and fruits. I have seen such a downturn in the joint discomfort I've had, along with taking my supplements. But here's the supportive eating formula. When we talk about the 8-hour body, and for those of you who have not heard us talk about it, there is a program for the next 2 months at Bodez Personalized Fitness. It's called the 8-hour body. It's $99 for the program. You'll work out less than 1 hour per week. Okay, so you'll work out 2 to 3 times, whatever fits into your schedule. We will strength train you for that concern for lean body tissue. We will have a burst training session for you for that moderate attention to aerobic exercise, and then you'll eat supportively. When you eat supportively, the theme of it is not to dramatically change your diet, but to eat in a manner that begins to improve. Each week, I'd want to hear, what'd you do better this week than you did last week? Here's the 3 components of eating supportively for the body. A lean protein. A lean protein would be egg whites, chicken breast, turkey breast, fish fillets, and even some game, like you can have shellfish, you can have low-fat dairy products, soy products, and things of that nature. The next part is a starchy carbohydrate, okay? A starchy carbohydrate is like things like your fruits and things of that nature. So potatoes, sweet potato, whole grains, brown rice, wild rice, oats, tomatoes, peas, corn. And I understand corn, we're concerned about the GMO, but if you were to offer, if people
just
bought
do
corn,
organic, if you do organic corn.
People bought corn or that from you, they're going to not, you certified non-GMO.
That's correct.
So it's tough to do.
And the whole month of October is going to be devoted to that issue, but that's what Love Whole Foods, that's what makes us a whole food store. We're screening for our customers. They don't have to think about it. Gluten, those foods that have the inflammatory protein, which we now identify as gluten. And again, when you do your fast, you're eliminating and breaking that cycle, which is great.
Right. And then the fibrous carbs, which are things like your cauliflower, your broccoli, your spinach, your lettuce, your cabbage, your onions.
Peasant food.
Peasant food. Most vegetables found in the produce section Most places that just shop are those kind of things: asparagus, carrots, artichokes, kale, those types of things. And so what happens is when we begin to combine these foods in this manner, here's what we do. We take, and it's a very simple formula. It's not a Wayne Pickering formula. It's a very simple formula. I take my plate, I cut it in half. On that half a plate, I put my fibrous carbs. I take my other half of my plate and divided it in half. And 1/4 of it, I put my starchy carbs. Because let's face it, we want to eat rice. We want to eat potatoes, but we don't want to eat Uncle Ben's white rice.
That's
right?
correct. You want to do wild rice if you can afford it. If you can afford it. You ever see any pictures of fat American Indians when we started taking photographs of the last remnants of the indigenous peoples? There were no fat Indians, believe me. Look at those photos from the 1840s, the 1850s, and even up to the Civil War. You're right. Eat the grains that are non-inflammatory.
Okay, so this is the part. So now we in our partnership, we steer them towards you to buy the grass-fed beef, to buy the organic chickens, to buy the foods that's non-GMO, and if they start with that, now if people don't want to supplement, and here's an argument we hear an awful lot, is we say, well, the food isn't as good as it used to be, and I
don't get that comment at Love Whole Foods.
Okay. Well, that's my point.
Right.
Is for people who are eating out of a microwave, or all they eat is frozen food, right, or all they do is go through the drive-through. That's certainly a pertinent comment. But it's easy enough to eat in a fashion. And think about this. Think about the confusion that we have in society. We have people confused about they want to lose weight. Why are they confused? They say, well, I want to lose my weight. I've got to eat less. I got to exercise more. And what do? They get frustrated because they work and they work and they work. And let's take the typical scenario of going there. And listen, we've been guilty of this at Bodez because we try to help people to get on the right track, and they come in with their perception. And you really have to train them and educate them along the way, and always have your hand on them, educating them. Because here's what happens. They come in, and I say to you, you come in and you need 50 pounds lost, Mitch. And I say to you, well, you're the master of your metabolism. You're the creator of your metabolism. And the way you've been eating with skipping breakfast and only eating one meal a day, you really have been propagating a fat-storing metabolism.
Right. You skip a meal with the exception of fasting, which is a different discipline.
Intermittent fasting.
Right. Intermittent. Right. But you skip a meal and you're sending a signal to your brain that when you cave in, when you give it up, you'll eat double what you would have done before if you'd just eaten what Ruben calls the grazing diet. And then he likes it because he eat the free-range beef that had been grazing all day. Right. You eat the free-range grazing beef, and you're getting those super nutrients from the grass, one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the surface of the planet. That's why free-range beef has that extra something that gives you that energy to get through a day dancing like Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire.
So when we work with these people, we now have to begin to educate them to eat. We got to nourish the body. We also have to create our metabolism. The great example we have that's our poster child as of late was Steve Robinson. In Steve Robinson's case, when he first came, because he'd been skipping so much and eating so little, his metabolism was like 800 calories a day. So we had to get him on a diet that he only ate 800 to 1,100 calories a day. Now today, when I talked to Steve today, when we finished his workout, I asked him, I said, where's your caloric intake, do you think? He says, well, I've been charting it pretty good. He's 2,800 calories a day. So, and he is losing body fat still 3 years later. He is maintaining the loss of this 130 pounds that he lost. Why? Because he changed his lifestyle. He is doing that grazing. But he has that synergy of the three things: the concern for muscle, the moderate aerobic exercise, and making the better choices eating. Supportive eating is about every week getting better on what you eat. And that's what this program, the 8-Hour Body, is about for us. Yes, we're going to send you to Love Whole Foods. We're going to send you there to go shop there, and it is going to be a little more expensive. But, the other thing I find, Mitch, is this, is since I've been more conscious about the choices I make with the organics and that, is I find more satiation in what I'm eating. And I think it's because, number one, I think it's because I've taken out a lot of the processed things. I've taken out the pastas that are processed. I've taken out the rice that's processed like the Uncle Ben's. I'm not eating much as much sugary kind of products. So I find that because of that, I think I'm eating better fiber-containing food, so I'm more satiated. You know,
I don't have a problem with that, but also organic fruits and vegetables, the uncontaminated meat sources, fish, chicken, beef. There's more nutrients in each serving. Each mouthful is giving the body it's filling that nutrient window, or the hooks are filling the receptor sites more adequate in nutrient dense whole food than if you're doing processed, highly refined mass market food. We can make that the subject of a future program. I've got the data, the research that was done at Stanford University on that subject, and it's a fact. Organic fruits and vegetables have more nutrients across the board than a commensurate amount of mass market equivalents.
Well, when you go to Love Whole Foods, or if you go to the farmers market, you're usually getting a better quality of food. And you know the thing that you know when you go to Love Whole Foods as opposed to the farmers market is you know that food's been screened coming in the door.
And we're doing both. I mean, right. Love Whole Foods has been supporting 3 local farmers, 2 of which have now gained organic certification. The third is just on the edge. That's been part of our mission statement. So you're not only getting farmers market local, but farmers market local organic. It doesn't get any better than that. We also just introduced a whole new raw line being made in Port Orange, utilizing all of the dates and raisins and elements, cashews, chia seeds, derived from Love Whole Foods. So I'm real proud of that. It's also supporting our local industry, which is nice.
Right. So back to the 8-hour body. This promotion is a 2-month promotion. Why do we do this? Why do we have an 8-hour body membership going on right now? Well, let's face it. People are on vacation during the summer. People are outside during the summer. So our members are using the club less because they're having a great lifestyle outside. So our club slows down. We don't want to cut back our staff, right? We've got to run the ACs and that. So we offer a tremendous membership opportunity. Now, it's a tremendous opportunity because what's it do? It takes care of 2 of people's most ardent fears. Number 1 is a fear of commitment. Number 2 is a fear of failure. People go into fitness centers, and one of the successes of the Planet Fitness model has been that they say, hey, no commitment, it's $10 a month, you know. But there is a $149 cancellation fee when you cancel your membership there. So, but when they come in to that membership, when you come into the membership, it's a 2-month, it's an 8-week program. It is a planned 8-week program for you. So you're getting going on the program. You're getting in it supervised exercise. You're getting in it, and as soon as you join up, I will send you this little thing I've got in front of me about thermic eating, okay, so that you can follow this. It's not a diet. It just gives you guidelines. Remember, the goal is each week, what did I do better than I did last week? If week 1 I came in there, and breakfast was drive-through at McDonald's, and lunch was I grabbed a Subway sub, and dinner was I ate a frozen dinner, and I had diet sodas all day long. The first week might be that the diet sodas were cut in half, and I drank water, and guess what? I had some yogurt with some fresh fruits in the morning, and not no-fat yogurt, but regular fat yogurt. We tend to make proteins good, fats bad. As we just started to talk with Mitch, cholesterol is looked at as a bad fat. But the reality is that we need that fat to run our systems. And why don't you talk about that, Mitch? Is all the good fats. I love the Greek yogurt, but I walked through what happened was Greek yogurt took the country by storm, okay? And it was made from 2 and 4% milk fat. And then what happens is now the only the only yogurt you see, because the mass media's gotten hold of it, the only yogurt you see for the fat is 0% fat, which means they've spun out all the good fat.
Right.
They've put in sugar and salt to make it taste good.
It's because of this media machine that has this obsession that fat is bad. Let's use your heritage as an example. Not only that every listener out there owes the Greek culture the contribution of democracy, but a bigger contribution was olive oil. The Greeks wrote the Olympics were run on olive oil. It's a fat, as you know that. It's an omega-9. It's an essential fat. But there are 7 others: omega-3, omega-5, omega-6, omega-7, 8, and 9. The problem with the media is that it always has to be broken down into little tidbits, and those tidbits have no nutrient intelligence. They're little sound bites. They tell you nothing. The brain runs on essentially cholesterol. And when I had Leslie Patterson on, we were talking when you were gone that weekend. The body will always take 20% of the fats of whatever's in the meal to run the central processing unit, the brain. Well, but if you're eating a meal that doesn't have any fats, your brain's running on empty. And I don't know about the listeners out there, but I see a lot of people running on empty, especially north of the border. It doesn't make any sense. The listeners can pick up a sheet. It lists all of the nutrient values of the essential fats. The major one is omega-3 fatty acids. We did a discussion on the JAMA article. Journal of American Medicine did an article on fish oil as the cure, C-U-R-E, for cardiovascular disease. Not Lipitor, not Zocor, not Levastatin, not whatever Chinese knockoff derivative of a statin drug. It was omega-3 fatty acids. And by the way, omega-3s and olive oil, going back to our Greek heritage, when you do them together, they're synergistic. They burn fat. They're lipolytics. They give the body permission to say, listen, I'm treating my body so well. You get this.
Right.
I'm treating my body so well, I can give up all that belly fat. I can give up the butt fat. I can give up my favorite, the buttock fat, for the women listeners out there, because I know I'm going to be getting some more. But if you're constantly eating mystery foods that are manipulated, that are not the way your great-grandmother made that Greek yogurt, we need to talk about probiotics sometime. You know, the Greeks not only understood in the yogurt that it was the fat that was necessary, it was that good bacteria, but that's another subject. But when you're suffusing the immune system with what it needs to run on, guess what it does? You get lifted. Right. Love, laugh, and lift, and it goes into your brain, and instead of running on stinking thinking, you're on smiley face, which is what we want.
And here's the thing: is during the course of these different fasts that I've done since January, the ones for religious reasons, the one for the health reasons, is one thing that I've done has been very meticulous, and this goes to supportive eating. Imagine this: is that going to supportive. I still haven't brought myself to eat sausage or something like that. I'm not high fat in that area. I like to stay in the beefs, the chickens, the birds.
Yeah, I don't like pork. The Old Testament got it right. Pork is a low energy.
Right. Well, but
even the Muslims figured that one out.
So I eat from a standpoint of eating the good fats, eating higher fats, eating the real fats, butter, not margarine. And so what's happened? Everybody goes like, man, how much weight have you lost? Look at your belly, it's gone. And I go like, no, I'm actually eating higher fat, because I read an article where they took people at Harvard University, Harvard's medical study, and they took people and they put them on butter and high fat foods, but they had them in balance, like we're talking about on supportive eating, and they took them off the Lipitor, and guess what happened to their cholesterol levels? Normalized. What happened to their risk of heart disease? Normalized.
Body runs on it's an essential nutrient. They're called essential fats because they're essential.
So now we add to that the other parts of the components of the synergy of the body is to work the aerobic exercise. Well, listen, if you're out there and you're I see people out there every day walking. Do you really like that? I mean, it's fine if you go out there to walk the beach because, my workout partner, Jim Patterson, for a year and a half, got up at 7 o'clock in the morning and just walked the beach because he enjoyed it. He was retired.
Yeah, turned up the rheostat.
God bless him. I'm glad he did that. He got bored with it, but listen, he hasn't gotten fat since he stopped walking. He was doing that, his exercise, his eating habits. Those are the things that drive getting you in good shape, and being able to go have those things that you enjoy in life, and not be depriving yourself. Listen, our whole life is about working hard and being on focus and doing all this stuff. I'm proposing a solution to you that's completely antagonistic to what we think fitness should be. We think fitness should be nothing but 0-calorie yogurts, only fresh fruit, which is a good idea, working out 6 days a week, running back and forth. Most people tell me, I don't have time to exercise. I'm telling you, in 20 minutes a day, 2 to 3 times a week, we can change your body. Now, you've got to make some lifestyle changes. You can't drive through the drive-through.
Yeah, the Krispy Kreme breaks need to be really monitored.
Yeah. Make a shake at home. Take the things, do these little things like take your vegetables you like and just chop them all up on a Sunday afternoon or Monday afternoon, whatever time is available for you, and make yourself a big vat of a nice vegetable mixture and have it to put in an omelet that you make before you go to work. You can make an omelet in 3 minutes. Get a George Foreman grill and put your piece of meat on the George Foreman grill and cook it right there.
Just skip the bun.
And then take and put some fruit and some vegetables on that plate. It's easy. It's cheaper. You'll say so. I hate when people tell me, well, I can't afford your program. We offered a special on our one-on-one that's still offering 18 one-on-one sessions for $7.99. People got to go home and think about that. $7.99 for 18 one-on-one sessions where you have a trainer every time that you walk in the door. You have an hour-and-a-half consultation that starts your program and puts together a game plan. You have all the measuring we do for you. We put so much time into that program for you, and people go like, well, I don't know if I can afford that. Well, you can't afford not to do it if it's going to change your health and it's going to reverse your fitness level because you're going to be more productive. That $7.99 you spend over the course of 3 months, that is going to be able to drive your professionalism because you'll feel better, you'll look better, you'll think clearer, you'll be more rested, you'll sleep better, your relationships will be better because you're going to do these 3 little things. A concern for lean body tissue, strength training, cardiovascular, moderate amount of cardiovascular training. What is it in our numbers? 8 to 12 minutes, okay? And you eat the supportive eating, the things that we've talked about with Mitch today, of making the better choices, of eating the foods that are natural, not processed, getting rid of that white starchy. All of y'all want to go out and buy a book. You want to buy the Sugar Busters diet or the Atkins diet or, you know what? And you've probably got the two, what are the two biggest selling books at the bookstore? The 2 biggest categories. Number one are cookbooks, and number 2 are diet books, or vice versa. I don't know which, okay? Mm-hmm. So people are going there learning how to cook stuff and make it, and then they go out and they buy a diet book that tells them, to cut back this and not do this. We see businesses, when we had LA Weight Loss, I was amazed at LA Weight Loss when it was here in Daytona. They were doing $80,000 a month. That's a lot of protein bars and supplements that you're buying for the specific purpose of cutting back what you take. Our protein bars we now use, we are almost exclusively, I'm proud to say, every one of our protein bars does not have sucralose or aspartame in it. And I tell people, look, that one has aspartame in it. You just need to know that because it is an excitotoxin. And we are...
Or it's got a lot of saturated fat.
Right.
And the saturated fat in a protein bar, when you're using it as a meal replacement, isn't the way to go.
But what we have done is we're using more natural. Jordan has some great ones. We've gotten some from you guys.
We have a whole wall of protein bars that are screened. Everything from vegetarians to all protein, a balance that we discussed, a balance between like you had on your plate. when you had your meal plate.
And those become a great alternative for when, we want you to eat every 3 hours a day. Every 3 hours we want you eating something. So a lot of times it's not going to be practical to sit down and order some food or cook some food. So you've got to use a shake. You've got to use a protein bar.
I mean, we've got the Garden of Life meal replacements and proteins on sale. If you buy any one of the Garden of Life meal replacements or protein shakes, we give a free shaker so that you can take it to work. All you need is a bottle to hydrate it with water, or you stop at 7-Eleven and get you can get coconut water at 7-Eleven now, and you just put it in the shake, you shake it, and you drink it, and it just gave you 23 grams of protein, the right balance between carbohydrates and fats, and in many cases it's got all of the electrolytes you need to get until you can eat a real meal.
And again, I want to ask people if they want to call in and ask a question. 239-0033. If you have AT&T at star 1150 here on Fitness Friday. I'm here with Mitch Booth. This is Tasso Kyriakis from Bodez Personalized Fitness. And, what we're talking about is making your life easier, more efficient, less risk of disease. And listen, I walk through the mall and I see two big issues. We always talk about the obesity issue. I think I'm appalled. I'm just, when you were a kid, Mitch, you thought about a handicapped spot, right, in the parking lot. What if you saw a person get out of a handicapped spot? What did you expect to see?
Yeah, and expected to see somebody that was crippled
without a limb. They had to get someone's getting somebody into a wheelchair. They're on a cane, something like that. I would venture to say that over half of the handicapped spots I see, maybe 70% of them, when people are getting out, it's only because they're huge. The turn to get out of their seat, they have to sit and take a break. And those people say, well, I can't exercise. I'm not in good enough shape. Yes, you can. We can start with 1 minute or 2 minutes of exercise a day and start the process and build on it. And here's the other thing is, I think the other part about exercise that we really need to compel people to understand is intensity, not quantity, but intensity, because the body has to adapt. We have to get the body to work a little bit harder each time. And, our eating's going to go like that. We're going to be progressive in our eating.
Oh, and we're all busy. I mean, it should resonate with the speakers, just that what Tim Ferriss and what you're just saying and any number of other trainers, make those micro bursts do the job of what used to be an hour's worth of training. The women out there get it. They don't have the time to go and travel, let's say travel time of an hour, and then do an hour's worth of workout and not get the benefit. It's the cost benefit's got to be there, or they're not going to do it.
Well, the great term that I hear from people who are coming in now is, I don't want to waste my time, because so often they've enrolled in programs and they've wasted their time.
Right.
This 8-hour body, 8 hours over the next 8 weeks, is not going to waste your time. You are going to walk away with a better feeling body, stronger body, hopefully leaner body if you make those changes in your supportive nutrition. I can't follow you home, not for $99. It take a lot more money than that to do that.
But where you and I are the same is the reason why Tasso has succeeded in the worst depression since our parents' generation, and the same with Love Whole Foods, is we are science-driven, but we also are performance-delivered. And you know that, and I know that. People keep coming back to do the Garden of Life meal replacement because they see the benefit. They come back to your program because they like that one-on-one that I don't know of any other facility that does the personal interaction that you provide.
Well, a point I made to someone the other
day. I might
day,
add that we do it at Love Whole Foods too. We've got the best.
Well, that's why we're alike.
Right.
But
that's why we're together.
Someone said to me that day, we had a lady. Now this is a 1 in 150,000 situation. The lady comes and she works out with us, and at the end of her workout, she swears to her husband that she has not been on that bike and done her bike that day. And he says, you were just there. And so my staff calls me and says, hey, listen, this lady over here is something's wrong, and of course the first thing you think of is it's a stroke because of her age and stuff like that. So, the husband wants to know, what should I do? And I said, well, I would take her to the hospital right now, but I would tell you there's going to be one of two things. Just the best guess is that she's either having a mild stroke or she's having what's called a TGA. It's a transient global amnesia. It's a one-time occurrence that what happens is the person actually forgets what they're doing. So they went to the hospital. Sure enough, the doctor said, yeah, it's a transient global amnesia. She has a higher likelihood of it because she suffered from migraines in the past. It's usually a one-time occurrence. And he says, and the guy is very thankful because he says, I can't believe you knew what it was. I said, well, really, neither can I, because I've seen maybe two of them in 35 years. I said, but it was pretty indicative with the things I knew about her. He says, that's what I like about this place. He says, you own the place, but you're working the floor. Just like you own the place, Mitch, but you're working the floor. You're right there.
Yeah, now that I'm split, it's harder to have the same presence, but I'm always on the floor.
And what we haven't told people is where our locations are. Bodez Personalized Fitness is 1140 West Granada in Ormond Beach. And Love Whole
Foods is at 275 Williamson Boulevard, right across the street from the post office in Ormond Beach. And our new location down by the Pavilion is 1633 Taylor Road, just opposite Westgate Shopping Plaza, just west of I-95.
So when you leave the Ormond store, you just shoot straight down Williamson.
I'm like a yo-yo. It's I'm on Williamson, and I get on 95 because it's quicker, but it's really only a 15-minute drive, which is amazing.
Right. And when you go to the Port Orange store, I just want to remind you that it takes a little bit of looking for because it is sort of set back behind some places there. So you just got to look right there and
if you look for Westgate, which is anchored by the Publix, look for the House of Gold. We're right behind the House of Gold, which sits right on Taylor Boulevard.
Taylor Road. Is it Taylor Boulevard or Taylor Road?
It's a boulevard.
Okay. All right. So what we've been talking about today is the program, the 8-Hour Body at Bodez Personalized Fitness. We've talked about the 3 components of synergy which make it successful. Number 1 is a concern for lean body mass. And ladies, I know you sit there and go, oh, it's strength training, it's lifting weights. I don't want big muscles. You're not going to get big muscles. But here's what every model you've looked at, you look and you go, oh, I wish I was toned like that girl. That tone is muscle. That tone is not being skinny. That tone is muscle because that's what gives the body shape. But more important than giving body shape, it gives the body energy because what it does is that is metabolically active tissue. And so lean body tissue is very important. And we want to be progressive. You don't want to do the same weight over and over and over again. And you don't want to do 30 reps or 50 reps or 100 reps. So those of you who are out at the curves, if you're doing curves, that's fine. That the curves, the training on the curves machines is fine from the standpoint of a reasonable facsimile of your burst training. But what you want to do is you've got to find a way to make the progression of the strength to be more important, either to fatigue yourself before you get on a machine, or it is to find a strength training activity. Something as simple as a push-up is going to be a great benefit to your overall health. So we look at this and we say that we want to build the lean body tissue, number 1. Number 2, a moderate aerobic. What most people are over-exercising when it comes to their aerobic exercise. But we want to do burst training is what we have become big advocates of because of the science behind it. Again, it goes back to what Mitch is talking about. What we do is based on science. It's not based on an article that tried to sell you a supplement. We don't believe that there is one supplement, one philosophy, or one technique that is going to be the cure-all, end-all, answer-all. And we tend to get caught up in this, Mitch. We talk about chia seeds and coconuts and as superfoods and
we're going to talk about body types in our ongoing relationship. Different metabolic types do better on certain foods,
right?
And that'll be the subject of another program,
right?
But if folks would like to try, both of our locations have complete delis, where if you really want to try what a seaweed salad can taste like and taste good, and get that little extra shot of iodine. I don't know of any other resource in Volusia, Flagler County where you can get organic delicacies made with love on that level. And then, of course, we've got the largest selection of protein shakes that I know of, and our Garden of Lice right now are all on sale at 30%. I'll kick in a coupon. I might also add we've got Dr. Murray's Theracumin on sale, so come on in and try it.
And so we've talked about a lot of things today. I want to remind you the phone number at Bodez is 672-6464. I do appreciate that you call and make an appointment with us, and here's the reason why. Is I'd like to spend that 20 minutes with you to talk about what you're currently doing in your fitness program and how our programs, because there are 3 different levels of programs at Bodez Personalized Fitness. We want to put you where you feel comfortable and what fits your budget. The program we're trying to promote right now for you and wanting you to take advantage of is our $99 8-hour body. It's a 8-week program where you will contribute less than 8 hours. That's 1 hour, less than 1 hour a week to your fitness level. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to rip that fat off. You're going to increase that energy. You're going to get better range of motion. You're going to feel better. And the 3 components we've talked about today, the synergy of the success of this program is a concern for lean body tissue, some moderate aerobic exercise, and supportive eating. Eating better every week, getting rid of the processed foods, getting rid of the drive-thrus, starting to eat food that is more natural. And making better choices from that standpoint. And again, it's not a deprivation diet. It's not that you're going to go do it and you're going to say, oh, I'm getting rid of this. It's a process. You're starting the journey. And that journey is going to end somewhere down the road in better health. But you're going to make these small changes. Every one of those 3 steps contributes to it. And when you put 1 and 1 and 1 together, it equals 5. It doesn't equal 3 because the synergy of it all working together improves what your life can do. If in your food choices, you begin to make your food choices in raw, live, and organic as opposed to buying off the mass-produced stuff, you'll see a difference in how your body feels almost immediately. So the phone number is 672-6464 for Bodez Personalized Fitness. If you'd just like to take these concepts and work with them at your own personal fitness center that you go to now, that's great. The numbers for Love Whole Foods are
677-5236, and the Port Orange is 767-6543.
Too bad you couldn't have gotten the like LLLP or something like that. Love, laugh, and lift plus. It's like 761 LLP. That would have been good to get it like that. You got to look and see what word you could get out of those. So, but phone number at Bodez again 672-6464. Dave, I hope people go out. Last week I went down to the boardwalk. Another great week. Tomorrow night is the Let It Be, the Beatles tribute band, and the fireworks at 9:45. Had a great time, and that's my cheat day. I actually go have pizza at Pizza King.
Oh.
Yeah, so I go to Pizza King and see Steve and the boys, and have my pizza, and so it's a nice night. I enjoy going down there with the family and having a great time. I hope you will join us on Fitness Friday again next week. Come visit us at Love Whole Foods or Bodez Personalized Fitness. And listen, if you're just going to go out and have a good time, tomorrow night, free night out, free entertainment, 9:45, great firework display, 8 o'clock, the Let It Be Beatles tribute band. God bless. Continue good success, everybody. Enjoy your families and have a wonderful weekend.
Everybody out there, love, laugh, and lift.
WNDB, Daytona Beach, first in local news. Fox News updates at the top of every hour. Online at newsdaytonabeach.com.